No pink, no magenta, no fluorescence. Is this even heresy for heretics anymore? Stepping outside of synthwave for a little bit, we're gonna do something a little bit more traditional, aka fucking boring. But the way that we get there is actually kind of interesting. The bulk of the work is gonna be 2 paints. And whatever you guess it isn't. Don't worry, this is the only time I'm gonna use an airbrush, and I'm only using it for a base coat of the darkness. This doesn't count as one of the 2 colors. I'm only using it as a base coat to take the intensity away from the black so it doesn't desaturate everything. Now I'm going to whip out the dry brush and our first actual color, which is Blanched Berry, which is a very dark desaturated violet. Think of it as a purple with a lot more red in it. If you do have an airbrush, you can shoot this down as a zenithal, but it's just as easy to whip out the dry brush. Let's have a look at those 2 colors. Obviously Blanched Berry that we've already had out, and the next one is going to be Ferocious Green. And because we're playing with purples and greens, when we mix them together, we're actually going to get a very chromatic gray. Chromatic grey is literally just a grey that's actually got some colour and some interest in it. And because with our 2 tones, one is light, one is dark, not only are we going to get some hue, we're going to get the change in intensity as well. And for the bulk of this video, these are the only 2 colours we're using for all of the skin. Every single time we need to take a step up in value, all we're going to do is add 1 more paintbrush full of the Ferocious Green into that Blanched Berry mix. So to start off here, we're using 1 part Blanched Berry to 2 part Ferocious Green. I'm also working with a fairly thin consistency of paint. This isn't your grandfather's layer consistency. Each time I create a new mix for the next layer and the next jump, I'm also adding half a paintbrush full of either water or Warpaints Stabilizer. Not only is this going to keep our paint nice and thin and smooth for application, but it's also going to reduce the opacity, so we're going to get a little bit easier of a transition. And because the paint is so thin, I'm also going to be doing 2 coats of each mix. But every single time I lay on another coat or another layer, I'm going to be taking up even less space than I did on the previous layer. This is basically going to do our blending for us. Now that we've covered both color and consistency, we can talk about what we're actually doing with this. In terms of light placement, I love the idea of a lot of my models kind of stepping out of the darkness into some form of light, which is exactly the idea that I'm using here. And even though we're still in the fairly early stages, you can see how I'm setting that up. Using the head as the focal point because it's a head and that's where our eyes are naturally going to go to, we're going to use that as the brightest point or the center. And if you think of the head as somewhat of a light source, we're going to treat it just like light or OSL. Meaning the further away we get from the head or the light source, the darker it is going to get. Or basically it's going to be a fade out. You can see that the hands and feet are almost untouched by a lot of these mixes. And don't worry, everything's going to get painted. I'll show you what happens with those later. But this is also going to kick us into a little bit of a routine and a pattern with how we apply the paint. Using the idea that the head or the center of this model is somewhat of a light source, we're going to start applying the paint there every single time. And that's actually going to give us some uniformity in repetition. And that just means we do the same thing every time. And it's going to make it a lot easier to see our progress and if the idea is actually coming together as we're planning it. Now, just because the head is supposed to be the focal point doesn't mean we're not going to highlight or build up layers on the surrounding areas. It just means we're not going to build the highlights quite as high as we are on the face. And in case you're wondering or you've forgotten, yes, we are still using those same 2 colors from the beginning. It's kind of wild that when you mix something like a minty green into a really dark reddish purple that we're starting to get something that looks white and grey at the same time. The complementary colors are cancelling each other out, but because we still have that light and dark, we're getting that intensity and that shift. So yeah, that minty green is going to read as white on this. But there is a caveat to that. I'm never going to the pure green by itself. Because if we're not cancelling the colors out, then yeah, it just goes back to green. In saying that, if you wanted to push this in a more green direction, that would be a great way to do it. Once you have finished the skin, if you wanted to go back in with a glaze of a darker green, you could absolutely push it towards that hue. And because that would just be a tint sitting on the surface, it will actually turn back to green a little bit. Now we're getting towards the end of our layers, let me show you a few tips of really escalating this. But first, here's something else. You might have noticed at the beginning of the video that I have been officially revealed as one of the factory team members for the Army Painter. That means I'll be representing the Army Painter at events, showcasing their products, and helping out on a few different projects as well. And while that's pretty cool for me, it's actually because of all of you guys that made it happen. So as something for you, when you go through the checkout at the Army Painter's website, use code Heresy5 and you'll get a discount on your order. And if you're a Patreon member, there is a separate code for an even bigger discount. Now the ugly guy's gone, we can get back to painting this esteemed gentleman. While we did use multiple thin layers to kind of help out our blending, we still have to go back in and actually blend it. And all I'm going to do here is add an extra paintbrush of either water or Warpaints Stabilizer to make a glaze. Don't be scared of glazing, it's just another layer that's just a lot thinner than normal. And because it is so much thinner, we're going to have to use a few more layers for it to actually do something. But that's exactly what we want. We want that control over how we're going to smooth and what level of smoothness we're going to. And because we've built up from dark to light, what I'm doing now is working backwards. So I'm going back to the previous mix, which was almost the lightest mix that we've used, thinned it down, and then we're going to be going downwards. Like that spiral that you're going to hit when you turn 30. Now, the cool part with glazes is because it is so thin and because we do get to control basically how much we're blurring out, it means we don't have to be that neat. But be warned, everything that you do go over is going to slightly tone down the brighter colors. But on the plus side, it will also start to bring out some of those darker colors. And because we're using the same tones and the same mixes on the dark and the light, it's going to pull it a little bit closer together. I'd suggest keeping an eye on the feet and the hands, the things that were furthest away from the head when we were talking about using it as somewhat of a light source or at least some kind of beacon. These are going to start to blend together and actually start to pop up and blend in. They're still going to be a lot darker because that's what we're shooting for. We didn't want them bright and in the way to start with, but they are going to actually be pulled back into feeling like they're a part of the model, while still keeping with the idea that the model is kind of stepping out of the dark. Now here's where things actually start to get a little bit more interesting, because we're going to add some extra color. I'm going to be switching back and forward between two different glazes. One, a Diabolic Plum, which is a dark magenta, almost purplish color, and Dragon Red, which is a cooler red tone. The Diabolic Plum we're going to be pushing into the shadows. It's going to make them a little bit more interesting and do a lot more blending for us. Whereas the Dragon Red we're going to push into places like the eyes, the elbows, the shoulders, and it's going to give it a feel like there's a little bit of life or a little bit of blood under the surface. Vincey V has said it 100 times, humans recognize red as blood, which they represent as life. Coincidentally, Vincey V also has a video using this exact same technique on this exact same model. So if you want to learn a little bit more of the theory behind how and why this works, go and check out that video. Now we're done with our glazes, I'm going to push back in that last light mix that we had just on the brow, just kind of push all that focus back in towards the face. And then I'm pretty sure we can put a bow on this one. Let's be honest, the outcome is fine. Personally, more traditionally miniatures don't really do it for me because, well, everybody does it. But the process and the color theory behind it was interesting enough that it was definitely worth having a shot at. And experimenting with miniature painting is the best part about miniature painting. As always, a massive thank you to InGames, the Army Painter, and all of our awesome Patreons. Big love, you filthy heretics.